Yeah, I gotta get a better seat. Just doing some finishing work this morning. I got some Ywara. I got a lot of stuff actually to do, but I got some Ywara to cord up. I've got some Eskrima sticks to cord up. I've got a staff to cord up. I've got a vampire stake bat to wrap. I've got a short sword purple heart short sword that I need to handle wrap. Guard my privacy. I will guard my privacy, YouTube. Don't worry about it. Ciao, ¿qué tal? Welcome to my party. I am just cording up some Ywara here. This is a Ywara. These are used in Japanese martial arts. Actually, they're also used in Filipino. They're used in a lot of different martial arts. They are used as a augmentation of your fist. You have this cord right here with your two middle fingers, so it keeps it anchored to your hand, and you use it as a way to defend yourself. The tip tapers to about a ½ inch, so it puts all the power into that little spot. One of these to the temple, somebody will think twice. Hello, hey, what's up, everybody? This is actually my shop's design for Ywara. There's a lot of different designs for them. I designed this type probably about 20 years ago. It has a little taper in the center so that it makes it a little more comfortable to hold, and it's reinforced at the ends with a little bit wider wood and then tapers into a tip. So you've got a much stronger weapon, and at the same time, it's a lot more comfortable to hold. And I use a cotton rope on the center cord so that it's a lot less likely to give you any chafing or rope burn. And all I do is I just knot them on the back side. And when they go to the customer, depending on their hand size, they can unknot these and adjust the cord however fits their hand. And then they can cut these tips off, and it makes it a little more comfortable. So those are my Ywara. Those are done. This is going to be fun. I've got a custom set of eskrima sticks. This is painted rattan. This customer wanted a pair of Nightwing style eskrima sticks made from rattan. So I painted rattan black, and I'm going to cord the ends with blue, metallic blue paracord, so that they resemble Dick Grayson's Nightwing eskrima sticks. He practices Kali Arnis and eskrima, so, but he also really likes Nightwing, so he wanted a pair of functional Nightwing eskrima sticks. So I'm going to cord these up next. But first, I gotta measure out this paracord. Oh, thank you. And thanks for hanging out with me. I do my finishing work at the shop every Sunday, and it's a little boring, so I like going live because it makes it less boring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16. There we go. 18. All right. Hey, I gotta make sure there are no knots in this paracord. 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 2, 3. Oh, crap. You know, I just realized I forgot to mark these. I will have to do the Donatello staff first, and then I'll do the Nightwing sticks, because I gotta measure and mark them. Actually, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I usually measure and mark them on my work table, but I figure I can do it here. No biggie. Hey, Poland. It's cold in Poland, huh? It's kind of chilly here in Florida. It's not really. It's about 55 degrees, which for here is pretty cold for an April morning. There you go. 1, 2. Yeah. Same temp in Scotland, huh? Am I a published author? Yes, I am. I'm guessing you've read one of my books. Yeah, that is one of my 3 jobs. I have 3 jobs. I work as a copywriter for a technology company in their marketing department, During the day, I run Warrior Wood and Props, and yes, I write books for Penguin Random House, mostly on mythology. I have a master's degree in English with a focus in mythology, and probably the worst financial decision I ever made, but God, was it fun. So with these sticks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cord up 6 inches on each end with this metallic blue paracord so that it looks similar to Nightwing's Eskrima sticks. I need to wrap and tuck. And then I'm going to use a little bit of cyanoacrylate. Yeah, mythology's fun. Actually, I do lectures at Tampa Comic-Con every summer on different mythology stuff and fairy tales and things like that. But yeah, I've loved mythology since I was a kid. And yeah, that is my happy place when it comes to literature, for the most part, is mythology. All right. Let's get these to hold still. There we go. This is my first time doing a set of these Nightwing sticks with rattan, so I'm hoping it looks as nice as I'm expecting it to. Well, it is hard. When I just got out of the military, I spent probably about a year or two sending, writing samples and inquiry letters and stuff to publishers and agents. I think I sent about 200 of them over the span of a couple years, and I got a lot of no's, and eventually I got one yes from my literary agency that represents me now, Bookends, and I've been with them ever since. I've had a few different agents over the years, but having an agent has definitely made it easier to find work with the bigger publishing companies, because it's very hard to get their attention. I said that in a white boy rapper. No, okay, so Nightwing. Someone asked, what are the Nightwing sticks? Educate them. Okay, so Nightwing is a character in the Batman universe. He was the first Robin, Dick Grayson. When he got older, he became his own superhero, which is Nightwing. So, and his main weapon when he fights is a pair of 26-inch long Eskrima sticks. So, and they are black with blue tips. So there are a lot of different designs that I've seen in different places over the years of what his Eskrima sticks look like in the comics, but sometimes they're like more mechanical and have like taser tips, or sometimes they light up, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're just basic sticks. It kind of depends. But yeah, Dick Grayson was the first Robin, and then you had Jason Todd, who became the second Robin, and then later became the Red Hood. And then you have my favorite Robin, Tim Drake. He was the Robin when I was a teenager. He's always been my my favorite. Mostly because Tim Drake was really the first Robin that didn't wear like the weird like bare leg Robin outfit. His Robin uniform was actually functional. You're very welcome, Steve. All right. So that's the first tip done. Now I'm going to trim these ends off. And we're going to melt them to the stick so they stay in place. Oh, come on, super scissors. There we go. Oh, there's my lighter. And there we go. Now we got one end wrapped up. And they're tight. Tight! On how to publish an opinion article, like an op-ed. Do I have any advice on that? I mean, the first things I ever published were mostly op-ed articles. But that was back in the day when magazines were a thing. For an op-ed article, usually it's a matter of finding a publication that is kind of targeted towards whatever the topic is of your op-ed, and then submitting to the editor. That's actually easier than most people think. Most publications, at least back in the day, on the magazines, they had, like a title page, and you could find the name of the editor and the mailing address for the publication. And so what I would do is I'd buy a copy of the magazine and look up the editor's name and the publishing and the publisher's address, and I would send my writing sample. I actually had to snail mail it back then. I would send my writing sample to them and wait for a reply. I imagine it's worked similarly these days. I would go to the website of the publication you're wanting to do the op-ed in, go to their contact us page, and they usually have probably a page for a link for submissions or an email address for submissions, and I would start there. I am making a set of, you must have just joined. Welcome, everybody. I'm making a set of Nightwing Eskrima sticks for a customer. This is a custom order. I normally make my Nightwing sticks out of oak. I might start making them out of rattan, to be honest with you, though, because they don't look too bad, and rattan is a lot more functional for Eskrima than oak is. Not that oak's weak by any stretch of the imagination, but it just, you can't take too many hits before they start to crack. So rattan, on the other hand, it holds up for a long time. But yeah, these are, he does Kali Eskrima and Arnis, and he wanted a pair of functional Eskrima sticks that looked like Nightwing Eskrima sticks. So that is what I am doing today. And then after this, I've got a Donatello staff that I'm going to be doing a center wrap on. I've got this cool Purple Heart short sword that I'm going to be handle wrapping. And I've got a vampire bat stake that I'm going to be wrapping the handle on. So feel free to stick around. I got a lot of stuff I got to get done this morning. No, oak isn't cheap, and I tell you, it's gotten a lot more expensive just lately at the hardware stores because, this whole tariff thing, they're upping prices, then the prices are up, then they're down, they're up, then they're down. Luckily for me, I was able, one of my wood vendors, I just got a big shipment of white ash in, which ash is really hard to get these days because there's this beetle that got into the ash forest here in the U.S. and ate up a lot of the ash trees. So ash is very hard to get in the U.S. these days. But I have a vendor who they had some downed ash trees in one area from a storm earlier this year, and they were able to sell that ash here in the U.S. So I was able to buy that, which is nice. But yeah, ash is so hard to get these days. It used to be my go-to, like 20 years ago. I made so much stuff out of ash because it was strong and not a lot more expensive than oak. Where are you from? I'm honestly, that's a weird question. People always ask me that. I'm not really from anywhere. I was born in a little town called Yukon, Oklahoma. It's the home of Garth Brooks. It's on the water tower there. And I lived there until I was about 10. Then my family moved to Southern California and kind of moved all over most of my life. So I always tell people I'm from Texas, though. It's usually when they ask, because I spent most of a good chunk of my life in Texas. Oh. But I eventually ended up in Florida. But I've been all over. All right. Well, now we gotta cut these ends and melt them in. There we go. All right, and there we go. First Nightwing stick is done. Now, moving on to the second Nightwing stick. Hey, Simon, what are we baking? We're making a lot of stuff. We got, I just finished cording up some Ywara. Right now, I'm cording up a set of Nightwing Eskrima sticks. I've got a Purple Heart short sword I'm going to be wrapping the handle on this morning. I've got a Donatello staff I'm going to be doing a center wrap on for the Ninja Turtle staff. And I've got a steak vampire bat. I love this. I laugh every time because I love the vampire bat because I love puns. So I'm going to be wrapping the handle of this and distressing it a little bit because I make a vampire bat when I sell a vampire bat, and I just had a buyer come up for the vampire bat I currently have in stock, so making that one to replace the one that I am selling. There we go. There we go. You make wood knives? Yeah, actually, I make wood daggers myself. I've got a whole bunch of different kind of wood daggers in my shop. My store, I should say, warriorwoodandweapons.com. I also have a Warrior Wood and Weapon, or not Warrior Wood and Weapon, sorry, Warrior Wood and Props .com, and I also have my eBay shop, which is also Warrior Wood and Props. My shop used to be called Warrior Wood Weapons, but unfortunately, the word weapons causes all kinds of issues online these days if you use that term. So I decided to get rid of weapons, the word weapons in the name of my shop, just because like it causes all kinds of issues. Like a lot of times bots will flag your shop as like being involved with firearms just because it says weapons. Also, I found out that a lot of my shipments to customers were being delayed because it said weapons, Warrior Wood Weapons on the return label, so they would assume there were weapons in the package. So they would hold the package to inspect it before it would go on to the customer, and it was causing shipping delays. So I went, and then I tried Warrior Arms and Props, and that caused the same issue. So I decided to take anything weapons related out of the name and just call it Warrior Wood and Props, because that's pretty much what I do. I make practice weapons out of wood, and I make con-safe props for people, or not con-safe props for people sometimes. Depends on what they want. Like I make custom baseball bats for people. I call them battle bats. I made one just recently that was like an axe bat with two halves of a table saw blade and a baseball bat. It was pretty fun. And right now I'm doing a custom bat for a lady on Instagram and YouTube named Nugs the Final Girl. She does like horror stuff, like horror movie reviews. And so I'm making a bat for her. They'll probably be making over the next month or so. She wants her bat. It's a design I haven't done before. She wants her bat to be spiky. She wants like nails in it. So I'm going to be making a nail spike bat here pretty soon. And it's going to be like neon safety orange with Nugs the Final Girl on one side and something like see you later meatball or something on the other side. I can't remember what it was she wanted on the other side. I've got it written down. Old brain. So I'm going to be making that for her in the near future. I got the bat selected and I got all the stuff. I just gotta prep the bat and drill the holes for the nails, and then I gotta sand it, then I gotta prime it, then I gotta paint it. Then after I paint it, I've got to do the stencil over the paint. Then after I do the stencil over the paint, I got to hammer the nails into it without damaging the paint. Then I have to distress it a little bit and wrap the handle. A lot of steps to this bat that I'm going to be making. One more end and these will be all done. All right, just one more end to wrap. And this set will be ready to go to the customer. Oh crap, I marked that in the wrong spot. There we go. There's the spot. All right. Okay. Is it an assault weapon? I guess it depends on your definition of an assault weapon. It's used in Eskrima martial arts and Kali and Arnis martial arts. But, I mean, if your question is, could you assault someone with it? Then yes, absolutely. This you could definitely assault someone with. I wouldn't recommend it, please, but you know, most of the stuff I make, I do recommend you only use it for martial arts training would really rather not and my baseball bats even more so. Because my baseball bats, the battle bats, actually I do make them functional, just because I like to see if I can. However, that being said, please don't hit anyone with any of my battle bats, because that's terrible. Like, my battle bats could do a lot of damage. Save it for the zombies. Yeah, this here is for martial arts. Most of the stuff I make is for different martial arts. I make stuff for Kobudo, karate, jujitsu, Kali Eskrima arnis. I make stuff for people who do Buhurt and Hema and armored combat. I make practice weapons for them. Pretty much, if you do any sort of weapons related combat, I probably make something for you. Yes, for self-defense only, please. Please don't hurt anyone with my stuff. Yeah, it's kind of been a lifelong thing for me, making weapons. I really enjoy making melee weapons. It's been, I think, probably one of the first arts and crafts projects I ever had as a kid. I found a couple of green sticks in my grandmother's backyard, and I used some masking tape, some rubber bands, and a clothespin to make a crossbow. Which I was able to use until I shot my brother in the butt with a stick. And it didn't like stab him in the butt or anything, but not supposed to be shooting it at people, so my grandmother took it away. I think I was like 4 or 5 when I did that. Almost there, people. And then we move on to the Donatello staff. Yeah, I never thought a day would come when I could see better without my glasses in some situations. All right, there we go. The feedback, I mean, on eBay, I got a 100% positive feedback. I think the only even close to negative feedback I've ever gotten is a guy, he ordered a Ywara made out of okome wood, but he apparently didn't know what okome wood was. Okome is a light wood. I make those for people who to use in like forms practice. It's not really meant for self-defense. He didn't really read the description, and he was a little upset. But it's okay, because I sent him another one made of a stronger wood for free so that he wouldn't be upset. And I guarantee everything in my shop. So if you're not happy with what you get, I make sure you get something you're happy with. But no, I get very good feedback on most of my stuff. I had a shop on Etsy for about 2 years before Etsy shut me down, because they apparently don't like people who sell martial arts stuff on their site. So they dumped me out. That didn't, sorry. The knot slipped while I was doing that, and now it's all messed up. I gotta redo this last knot here. There we go. That's the thing I get the best feedback on is my boken, to be honest with you. No, not a fire torch. No, it's this is a custom set of Eskrima sticks for a client. He wanted a functional set of Eskrima sticks that looked like Nightwing, the Batman character Nightwing's Eskrima sticks. So I made them. I painted some rattan so that it's nice and durable, and I am cording the ends with paracord. I would not recommend using paracord for a fire torch. It's since it's mostly plastic. There we go. Nightwing Eskrima sticks are done, son. There we go. So let's set these aside. Oh wait, not. Like, here's an example of one of the things I make. I do these for people who do armored combat and boo hurt, so that they can practice without using their actual competition weapons, because their competition weapons, you know, those are expensive, so they can mess this up for about a third the cost of their actual competition weapons. This is a Viking sword waster. It's made of red oak, and it's got a mineral oil immersion. The mineral oil makes it where the wood tends to dent instead of crack, so you can hit a lot harder with it against somebody who's wearing armor. It's a lot less likely to break. But yeah, practice weapons. That is most of my sales are practice weapons, and Ywara, and then around spooky season, like around September, I start selling. I make a lot of vampire steak type things, and so I sell a lot of vampire stuff, and I sell a lot of like battle bats and things like that around Halloween. Thank you. Is this a side hustle? Yeah, pretty much. I have 3 jobs. I don't know which one's really my side hustle these days, because I feel like I do all 3 of them pretty regularly. But I'm a marketing copywriter, I'm an author, and I write, and I work, I own a shop, Warrior Wood and Props. So I kind of always work, basically. Like, no, it's not for spanking. Although, funny story, I actually have this huge wooden barbarian sword in my shop that's for sale right now, because like probably about a year or 2 ago, I had a customer on Etsy, and this is why one of the things I didn't like about Etsy. I had a customer come to me on Etsy, and they wanted a BDSM paddle that looked like a large barbarian sword. So I spent like 3 weeks. I made it. I sanded it to like 3,000 grit until it was just absolutely flawless. I gave it a full tung oil immersion, and then I gave it 2 more coats after that so that it was super strong. And then when it was ready, I messaged them and told them it was ready, and they never replied. They just ghosted me, disappeared on me. And the next day, their Etsy account was gone. So I was left with a huge barbarian sword paddle that was made for spanking. And it is on my shop right now. So if you're interested, go check that out. It's on my eBay store, and it's on warriorwoodandprops.com in the European sword section. In the European waster section. But yeah, I get a lot of weird stuff. Yeah, it's not, hey, I don't kink shame, you know, whatever you're into, that's not for me to say. So I gotta measure out this 550 cord, make sure there are no knots or kinks in it. Speaking of kinks, ha ha ha. So, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right. Get this, there we go. You're gonna check it out for a friend, huh? Yeah, no, definitely for your friend. Do that. All right. So next up, I gotta cord wrap this Donatello staff. So I make these for Ninja Turtle cosplayers. I have several pretty serious Donatello Ninja Turtle cosplayers. They have like the 1991 latex costumes that use my Donatello staves for their costumes because they fit in the holders usually for those costumes. And they're a little short. They're about 57 to 58 inches, which is good because when you have a staff on the back of a turtle shell, you don't want it to be super long. Otherwise, you're going to be dragging it on the ground. All right. So now I'm going to do that. Did I use it in the meantime? No, I did not use it in the meantime. That's funny. The paddle sword, no. We all got our kinks, but that one's not mine. Ah. If your dad used to whoop you with a pole this large, man, I'm glad you're still alive. Because this is made out of hard maple. And I wouldn't want to get hit with it. It's not the strongest, it's not like the hardest of woods, but it definitely holds up. You know, like I wouldn't use it for actual martial arts because it's not really... I haven't reinforced it with tung oil or any penetrating oils because it's for prop use. So it's mostly just stained wood with this dark walnut paracord wrap. It's got the stain on it is called provincial. So you got a provincial stain with a dark walnut paracord wrap, because it contrasts well against the wood. It looks better on camera. I have other ones. I have one that's got a darker stain that uses a lighter brown paracord wrap. It's the deluxe one. But that one's made out of poplar because it is much larger and longer than this. And that one's mostly for people that are maybe taller that do Ninja Turtle cosplay. But this one, this design specifically is meant for people that do the Jim Henson's Creature Shop 1991 style, because it is shorter and fits the holder for those costumes and is the right length, so that, like I said, so that you don't end up dragging it on the ground behind you, because that is one thing you don't want to have happening while you're at a convention. Really, the gangs wanted you to join because you had bow staff skills? You had bow staff skills, nunchuck skills, hacking skills. Gotta have skills, God. Sorry, that's my Napoleon Dynamite impression. I think I'm probably showing my age at this point. But yeah, bow staff skills are good. Girls only want guys who've got skills. God. You were the training dummy back then? That's funny. Yeah, I did martial arts most of my life, starting about the age of 5. And I'm pretty sure most of the stuff they did to us back then would be considered child abuse now. You know, they had us doing Makiwara training at that age. My hands are a freaking disaster because of that. You know, they would do Makiwara training and impact training, and they overstretched the crap out of us. So I know a lot of the guys I grew up with doing competitive martial arts when we were kids. We all have bad hips and bad knees and bad shoulders and all kinds of joint issues because they overstretched the crap out of us when we were kids. So we all have really, really loose joints now that we're old. Yeah, girls only want guys with skills. That's right. You got to make sure you got those skills. I know that my woman, she only wants me for my skills. You know, my bow staff skills. That's if I didn't have the bow staff skills, I'd be out on the street. She'd be like, get out. Yeah, doing competitive martial arts as a kid in the early 80s was a lot more dangerous than it is now. Whew. Like I think my first several tournaments when I was little, we didn't wear pads. We didn't have like it was I would just walk up and punch the kid in the face. And he had no padding on. I think we had mouth guards and that was about it. And athletic, we had a cup, you know. I think that was about it. We had a cup and a mouth guard. And I'm not saying that's how things should be because that was terrible. I'm sure a lot of kids got concussions at the age of like 5 and 6 back then because they weren't wearing any sort of head protection. The mouth guards back then were terrible. They weren't even like it was just the top part of your mouth. It wasn't even like for both sides. You just wore like a piece of rubber or plastic over your teeth. And that was about it. All right, here we go. Whoop. Let's wrap this bad boy up. Then get this knotted up. Sorry, it's hard for me to do this on camera because I need to put it in my lap. There we go. Oh, there we go. Now we've got the Donatello staff. And I know I do pretty much the same cord wrap every time because it's the most functional cord wrap that I know. And it's the simplest cord wrap that I know. It's also the easiest cord wrap to replace if something were to happen to it where they needed to replace it. It's not hard to replicate because it's literally just one line of paracord tucked underneath as you wrap, and then you knot it at the bottom and melt the ends so that they stay in place. And it you have to kind of like ride the edge of burning yourself every time you do it. Because there we go. Roundhouse kicks with bad boys on? No, I don't remember doing that. Actually, though, when I did compete as a teenager in my teens, I was very briefly sponsored by Bad Boy Clothing. I don't know if you guys remember Bad Boy Clothing. I don't even know if they're still around anymore. It was a very popular clothing brand, Bad Boy, in the 90s. And so it was funny though, because I had like a tournament gi that they gave me that had like the Bad Boy logo like on the lapel and a big Bad Boy logo on the back with the like it was like a dude with like a flat top and like a spike bracelet. It was so silly, but yeah. Then I injured myself and lost my sponsorship. So, but I did give out some roundhouse kicks while wearing a Bad Boy gi. So I don't know, but not while listening to the song "Bad Boys." No. All right, this over here. Oh, There we go. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that would be the clothing. Luckily, they didn't make my gi neon colored. I would have hated that. My gi was just white. I had a white one with black logos, and I had a black one with white logos, and that was it. And they gave me one set. It was like a demo gi that had it had like red trim, and it had like a red stripe down the sides. It was black, and it said "Bad Boy" down the stripes on the legs. But yeah, then I tore my MCL, and the doctor told me to stay off of it for like 3 months. And I was about 17 and thought I knew everything, so I decided I didn't need to stay off of it for 3 months. And so after about 6 weeks, I started training again and tore it even worse. And then I was off my feet for like several months after that, and you have to do a certain number of tournaments a year to keep your sponsorship, and I wasn't able to do any more tournaments that year, so I lost my sponsorship. Hey, what's up, people? Thanks for hanging out with me. I know this isn't the most exciting live you've probably ever seen, but I enjoy it. It makes, this is kind of the more tedious part of my job, doing this finishing work, so kind of feel like I have somebody to talk to, or it gives me someone to talk to. I do have people to talk to. I'm not saying you guys aren't people, but it gives me something to talk to while I'm doing this stuff. And oh my God, that was way more paracord than I needed for that job. Okay. Anyway, now we're done with that. I'm gonna move these Ywara out of my way here. Okay, what I got next here? The next up is the Vampire Bat. These are Vampire Slayer baseball bats. They have a stake tip, so you can stun the vampire and then stake the vampire. I don't know what possessed me to start making these, aside from the fact that I love puns. And I thought, one time I heard the words vampire bat, and my brain saw a bat with a stake. And I'm like, okay, I'm making that. So now we're gonna wrap. And pro tip, if you're gonna wrap a bat handle, make sure you start at the bottom of the handle and work your way down. Otherwise, the person's going to be pushing down on the fold part of the handle. And you don't want that. That's not comfy. And I do these a little messy because I want them to look kind of how did a hair get in here? Well, I'll get it later. Yeah, go play baseball after eliminating the vampire. Exactly. Actually, I had a guy last Halloween. He had ordered one of these, and he sent me a picture of his costume, and it was like a New York Yankees uniform, like with blood spatter all over it. Like he was a baseball player vampire hunter, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, I tried to make it a little messy looking just because I want it to look kind of like someone just hastily put this together. Usually I'm a little more careful when I do a baseball wrap. And I usually don't use athletic tape. I usually use a actual baseball wrap, but for this one I use athletic tape for two reasons. One, it makes it where I can offer it for a lesser price because those baseball bat wraps are not cheap and the athletic tape is. And then there you go. And now I gotta wrap the bottom. There we go. Basketball is better than baseball. I don't really care for either, to be honest with you. I have no opinion. So there we go. And then here later, I will distress this handle with some dirt and sawdust, and I'll kind of do the same thing for the whole bat so that it looks dirty and used. Because, you know, you don't want it to look brand new. You want it to look like you've been killing vampires with this for a while. And I actually had one customer that ordered a custom version of one of these where what she wanted was blood, like on the tip, and then spattered all over it. So I did that for her. But I figure if people want to put blood effects on it, they can. It's not that hard to do. So I just mostly sell them like this unless the customer asks for blood effects, which is not a big deal. But there, that is done, ready to get distressed later. So I'm going to set this off to the side. Now, now before I do this next one, I got a couple things I got to do over here. You guys are welcome to stick around. I will be back. I gotta wipe down a couple of Suburito boken that I put in tung oil this morning. I gotta buff them real quick. I'll be right back. All right. So if you were here earlier, you heard me talking about white ash. And so I got a shipment of white ash this week, and I made some Suburito boken out of them, and they got their second coat of tung oil today. And a Suburito, this is an ore style Suburito. The ore style is fashioned after the Miyamoto Musashi ore boken. But it's a Suburito, which is a heavier boken. It's used for mostly strength building. You can spar with it though if you need to. Like I said, it's white ash, which is strong as hell. It's about 3 times stronger than oak. And these aren't on my store yet, but they will be later today. And there you go. I got one more I got to buff out real quick. Don't want to touch the tung oil because I don't want my fingerprints to get into the tung oil because it's not fully cured yet. But you want to buff the tung oil about once at 5 minutes and once at 30 minutes after you've applied it, because tung oil can get like little bubbles in it, and if it dries that way, it makes a rough finish. So you want to buff that out. All right, those are buffed out. Here's, I'm gonna leave these here for right now. Now I got this little Purple Heart short sword here. This is a I call it a Rudis. Rudis was a wooden sword, just a wooden trophy sword that gladiators use. This is like a smaller version. I have a life-size version of this that's about a little over 2 feet long. This one I think is only like 12 inches, maybe. I think it's a little more than 12 inches, might be 18. But it's got actual blade on it and tip. It's not really for sparring. It's mostly for like to give as a gift or as a trophy. I've had like SCA people, they'll buy them to use as trophies for their tournaments, and other people buy them just to have for display. This is a pigskin wrap that I use for these. There we go. Let's do that. There we are. You don't want too much overlap. You want some overlap, but not too much. There we go. And now I am going to there we go. Now I'm going to cut that so that it's even with the bottom. There we go. And now it's got the wrap. And oh, I think I might have forgotten my finishing tape. Hang on one second. All right, I'll be right back. My finishing tape is in the office. I'll be right back. All right. And the finishing tape just goes over the edges to make it look a little prettier. The hard part is finding the edge of the tape. There it is. There we go. And you just follow the bottom. Whoops. And I didn't follow the bottom. There we go. That's the bottom. There we are. And there we go. And when you do the end, you want to cut at an angle so that the tapered bit kind of folds into the center and you don't see too much overlap. There we go. You also don't want to stretch it too much because it is vinyl, and too much stretching, not good. You don't want it, you want it to be tight, but you don't want it, to be stretched so much that it starts pulling back on itself after you're done. All right. Here we go. Now we've got a little Purple Heart short sword that'll go up on the store later today, so that's fun. Look at the comments, please. Oh, I'm so sorry. I left you alone. Where am I from? I already told that story earlier. Yeah, no, baseball is a weird game. Snowboarding is better. I have no opinion on any of this. Where am I from? I'm not gonna give an opinion on anything. Like this isn't for politics, man. You know what? You know whose side I'm on? I'm on the side of people. I don't think anyone should die for any reason. I think war is ridiculous. Period. End of story. I'm former military, and I saw enough of it when I was in. I have no taste for it anymore. I think war is ridiculous. I think that human beings need to evolve past it. I think it's the only person or people, I should say, that war benefits are the rich, and that's it. Dogs or cats, I can give an opinion on that. It's funny. I am a dog person, but in my house right now, I have more cats. I do love dogs, but I'm very busy, so dogs are a little harder to take care of than cats. But yeah, so cats right now. I definitely have more cats. But if you were to ask me if I'm a dog or a cat person, I'd probably say I'm a dog person. All right, there we go. And yes, I do think that Palestine should have its own sovereign state, and that people should leave it alone. I do believe that. I think everyone has the right to exist. And I don't think anyone has the right to tell anyone they don't have the right to exist for any reason. All right. But anyway, let's stay away from that topic. All right. So that's that. I do have one more pair of the Nightwing Eskrima sticks, so I'm going to go ahead and cord those up, I think, since I'm already here. Might as well. Well, first, I need some coffee. Oh, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. What's more important to humans, the wheel or electricity? I would say the wheel, to be honest with you. Because without the wheel, you honestly don't have electricity. a lot of the components used to generate electricity are wheels. So the wheel, it would be my answer to that. What's my favorite color? I don't know. I mean, I wear a lot of black, but I don't know that. I think black's not a great color to say that's your favorite color. I like blue. My eyes are blue, so blue tends to go well with my eyes. But I honestly, yeah, I'd say blue. That's a really easy answer, but I like blue. I don't know, I'm 47. I don't really think about favorite colors much anymore. Probably should. Finally, as I get older, I don't think about things that I used to think about a lot more when I was younger. Ugh. All right, let's see. 3. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, maybe a little more. Oh, I'm glad I just bought a bunch of new paracord, because it looks like I'm running out on this one. All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, there we go. That should be enough to get me through this last set of scramble sticks. All right. I'm very chill, thank you. I try to be. Can I recommend a good book? Absolutely. I have so many books that I would recommend. Right now I'm reading the Mistborn trilogy by Sanderson. Highly recommend the Mistborn series. It's really good. It's a fantasy series. If you're looking for more of a standalone book, there's a book that I recommend to everyone because I really like it. I just read it not too long ago. It's The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So good. It is such a cool concept. You don't see a lot of books with more original concepts these days. It's more just kind of a spin on an old concept, but this is pretty original. The idea is that this girl in like the 14th century makes a deal with the devil that she will be immortal, right? But she doesn't set any terms. So the devil makes it where, yes, you're immortal, but also no one will ever remember you. So anyone she meets will forget her the moment she walks away. And so it's kind of interesting that you watch this girl who's immortal and can't die try to learn how to navigate the world where no one can remember her. What's my favorite book of Charles Dickens or William Shakespeare? Well, William Shakespeare doesn't really have any books. He was more of a playwright. I actually did some Shakespeare when I was a high school theater kid. I very much like Comedy of Errors, but my number one favorite Shakespeare play is Othello. I love Othello. I think I think that was a masterpiece, that play. I absolutely love Othello. With Dickens, I mean Oliver Twist. I'm not a big Dickens fan, really. So yeah, I would just say either Oliver Twist or A Christmas Carol, which are his two best known books. How do you write the book's names? Give me a second. See if I can do that real quick. Let's see. So that's the title. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Addie is ADDIE LARUE. And holy crap, my handwriting is terrible. But it's a really good book. Highly recommend it. And the Mistborn is just Mistborn. And the Mistborn, if you just look up the Mistborn series by Sanderson, that's at the bottom there, Mistborn. So good. I'm on the last book right now. I'm about halfway through the last book, and I hate that that I'm almost done with it because it's been such a good series. I really have enjoyed it. I think I'm gonna look into more of Sanderson's stuff. Welcome back. Do I like the rain? Yes. Do I prefer the sun or the moon? I prefer the moon. Yeah, I'm definitely a moon guy. But yeah, I love the rain. Rain is nice. I'll be right back. I gotta mark these out. I forgot to bring a ruler. What did I do with my ruler? Oh wait, is my ruler here? Oh yeah, I brought my ruler out earlier. I forgot. All right. Okay. Whoop. So I gotta mark these sticks. There we go. Where's my pencil? Oh, I guess the guy in the shop next door is here. There we go. 1, inch. Trying to mark on black is difficult, so I use a very sharp pencil usually, but my pencil's not very sharp right now. Should probably have done that before. There we go. So that mark these lines up. There we go. Oh, I guess I should have grabbed both of these scrapper sticks. Oh, I do have both of these scrapper sticks. All right, cool. All right, let's see. I got 1 inch from the top, and then 6 inches down. There we go. All right. And the other stick. There we go. And then I try to match them stick to stick so that they are symmetrical. There we go. I'm your favorite person you've seen live. Well, thank you. I feel like I'm pretty boring, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, because otherwise this would be a lot more boring for me. So thank you for that. Thank you for making this way less boring for me. Otherwise, I just have to sit here in silence. And or sometimes I play music, but I listen to music in the car. I listen, it's just gets old after a while. I'd much rather talk to people. But thank you for the compliment. You think I'm very interesting? Oh, thank you. But don't flirt with me, lady, because my girlfriend, all right, she's very dangerous. All right, here we go. Is that both? Do I get both? I guess I do. All right. So these are the last ones of the day. And then I just got to do my final cleanup for the day, and I get to go home and watch a bad movie, because that's like my favorite thing in the world to do. Hey, Diablo, what's up, man? Diablo's devil. That's interesting. So that's like saying devil's devil. Good times. And I'm glad that people think I'm interesting. I'm not quite sure why, because I don't know. I appreciate that you guys want to sit around and watch a chubby middle-aged man cord wrap stuff, but I am grateful you are here, and I really appreciate having you here. And okay, that's weird. Oh, I see the. There we go. Okay. Oh crap. There we go. Do I have any history on what I'm making? Yeah, actually, I covered that earlier. I was telling people this particular one right here. This is the Nightwing Eskrima sticks. Usually, this is a custom order, but usually when I get a custom order, I make two. And one of the reasons that I make two is that sometimes when you make something, you make a mistake. So when you make two, if I screw one of them up, I've still got another one, and I don't have to start all over. And if they both come out good, then they both come out good, and I can just sell both of them. One to the customer for the custom order, and the other one on my shop. So, but these particular ones are functional Eskrima sticks that are based on the Nightwing Batman character. Nightwing was the first Robin to Batman, Dick Grayson. And when he got older, he became a superhero in his own right, named Nightwing. And his primary weapons are a pair of 26-inch long Eskrima sticks of varying designs depending on which comic book or animation you're subscribing to. But yeah, this is actually the second set. I had another set that I did earlier. This is the last thing I have to cord wrap this morning. And then I will be done, son. And I get to go home and hopefully watch a horrible movie. I have a weird addiction to bad movies. It's an issue. The other day I watched one of my favorites, which was the Guyver from 1991. It's such a strange movie. It's got Mark Hamill in it, like Luke Skywalker. And he's not the hero. Like, I don't know how somebody in 1991 was like, yeah, let's make a science fiction movie, but we're going to have Mark Hamill in it, but he's not going to be the main character. He's just going to be a side character. I don't know who thought that was the best way to go with that, but yeah. Eskrima sticks. Eskrima is a martial art from the Philippines. It's mostly stick and knife. Most Filipino martial arts are stick or knife martial arts. Kali, it tends to be more on the knife side. Arnis and Eskrima tend to be more on the stick side. Actually, I would say Eskrima is definitely more on the stick side, while Arnis is almost like more of a balance between the two. Yeah, all Filipino martial arts, for the most part, concentrate on the use of fight sticks and blades. There we go. That's one down. Gosh, I didn't realize it had almost been 2 hours. Good gracious. Thanks for hanging out with me, people. There we go. Did that melt? Yes, it did. All right. Now, I appreciate people hanging out with me because, like I said, this gets tedious. But having... Oh, that didn't stick. I knew it didn't stick. All right. Let's try that again. There we go. One and down. For the most part, yeah, Eskrima sticks were used as weapons for the most part. There are other weapons in Southeast Asia that are kind of more like they were originally farming implements that became weapons, like the kukri knife in Nepal that the Gurkhas use. Like the kukri is a very common Like this, like every house just about in Nepal, I think, has one in their home somewhere. They're usually heirlooms. They get handed down over time, but also they have other ones that they use as, you know, farming tools, and they're good to use as machetes and all kinds of stuff. And then, you know, you got stuff like karate weapons that were originally not weapons from Japan, because the Shurite bodyguards of the Okinawan royal family, who were the kind of the founding fathers of karate, were outlawed from carrying weaponry by the samurai class, and so they figured out how to turn things that weren't technically weapons into weapons. Uh, you know, that's how you ended up with stuff like the kama, and which was just a sickle that they used to harvest rice, but it was a stick with a blade on the end, and that's a weapon. So they started carrying those as weapons. You ended up with like nunchaku, which was used for threshing, and you know, but worked as a flail. You had kopo and Ywara, which were, you know, basically these little sticks that were the backing for these cushions that women used when they would sit in the seiza position on their knees. So it would go between their heels and their rear, and you could take the stick out of the cushion, and it had that little string there. It made it great. I mean, I don't know, honestly, on Robin. Like Dick Grayson, you know, all the Robins were trained in martial arts. You know, as part of their training to be Robin. So I think that, you know, all of them kind of have usually a non-lethal weapon, except for the new guy, Damien. I think Damien's a little different, the new Robin, uh, but Dick Grayson, I think, you know, he's an acrobat, and I think having shorter sticks for him probably was a better weapon, because of the fact that he was a circus acrobat. You know, when you're flipping around, you don't want a large, long weapon hanging off of you. So, you know, short sticks that he could strap to his back were far more handy, I think, for the way he did things. Yeah, then, like Jason didn't really have weapons, and then, well, now that he's the Red Hood, his primary weapons are pistols for the most part. And Tim Drake has the bow staff with the whistle in the end. You know, that he uses as a distraction. Actually, I don't know if that's part of the Tim Drake mythos anymore. It was when I was reading the comics. He was fighting this kind of like blind martial arts master, criminal crime boss kind of person with this lady Shiva, and he nearly got killed by the guy the first time they fought, and so he carved like a hollow into one end of his staff to create like a whistle. So when he fought the guy again, who, like I said, was blind, the whistle caused like issues, made it hard for the guy to locate where he was because of the whistle on the staff. But I'm not sure that Dick Grayson, I don't really know what, I'm not as familiar with him as I am with the other Robins, so I don't know, not entirely sure what caused him to choose Eskrima. But if I had to venture an educated guess, I would say it's probably because of the acrobat thing. Because a weapon is only useful as long as it's not a burden. And a big, bulky weapon can easily become a burden to movement, especially a melee weapon. Yeah, it's like the Scottish Claymore, you know, worked great if you were on line up against an infantry charge, but if you had to like move on the battlefield, the Claymore wasn't exactly the best weapon to be using, or the Langsknecht, or any of those like really long, crazy swords, like, you know, the Odachi, stuff like that. It worked great if you were in line, you know, in an army, line against line type of combat, coming up against cavalry. Yeah, it came in really handy. But in a straight up, you know, hand to hand melee fight on the battlefield, those kinds of weapons got cumbersome, and burdensome very quickly. All right, there we go. All right, last one, people. Last stick. And then I will be having to say goodbye for this Sunday. But if you have enjoyed hanging out with me this Sunday, I do this pretty much every Sunday. I do my shaping and sanding work on during the week, and on the oops, I forgot to glue that. And on the on Saturdays, and then Sundays I come in and do the final fit and finish on all the stuff that I've worked on. So every Sunday I go live while I'm doing this stuff. So you're always welcome to join me. If not, I'll just sit here and talk to my phone like a crazy person, which is also okay. That's the nice thing about me. I have the gift of gab, so I can pretty much talk to the air if I want to. but when I have people on my phone, does make me feel like I'm less crazy. So, appreciate you guys very much for hanging out with me. I don't read Cyrillic, but I guess I don't know what that says. Can't read Cyrillic, sorry. Sounds like somebody's walking on the roof. Oh, crap. Well, I may have to break out the new paracord sooner than I thought, because it looks like I'm going to be running out soon. Hopefully I have enough to get me through this last end here. I'm worried I may not. Uh-oh. We may have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, I'm running out of paracord. Well, this could be a problem. Let's see. Oh, no. Why? All right. Well, I guess I didn't measure that properly. This is what happens when we don't. This is what they say, measure twice, cut once. So I only measured once, and apparently I did not measure well enough. Now I got to pry all this stuff off and try not to get that CA on my fingers. Really should have checked that before I started. Now. All right, give me a second. I'll be right back. There we go. Just getting that out of the way here. All right, so it's time for me to get some more 550 cord. So the good news is I probably won't be running out again anytime soon, because this is the replacement that I got for that 550 cord. This is 1,000 feet of the metallic blue paracord. So I'm hoping this will be enough to last me for a while. What do you think? Yeah? All right. Give me a second. We'll throw that away. Whew. Good gracious. All right. You know what I need to get? I need to get like I need to put like a rope with a dowel or something on that so I can hang this up. Well, that's a project for another time. Ugh. All right. For now, I'll just stick it against the wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, come on. Work with me here. 10. All right. Let's see if I can knock everything over. There we go. All right. That should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That is more than enough. All right. Let's get this done, son. Yeah. All right. Where is that? There we go. Okay. Let's try that again. In the words of Jack Burton. Oh, it's Batman, yes. Is that what he said? The Cyrillic is Batman? Yes. Yes. Yeah, actually, there was a period where Dick did become Batman, and Damian was his Robin for a while. The two of them had a little trouble working together, from what I understand. I actually have those comics at home, and I haven't read them yet. I probably should, but I have not. I've read the first 1 or 2 of them. I need to finish that series. But yeah, it did kind of seem like Damian and Dick didn't really get along so great. Oh, his profile pic is Batman. Gotcha. Sorry. Cool beans. Well, welcome to the chat, Batman. Just finishing up these Nightwing sticks, and my nice happy chubby butt is gonna call it a day. So if you got any questions for me, now's the time to ask, because once this last stick is done, I'm going to call it a day. For those of you who are still sticking around, if you weren't here earlier when I mentioned it, I run a shop called Warrior Wood and Props. You can find it at warriorwoodandprops.com, or you can find it on eBay, either one. I sell on both platforms. I seem like I sell more on eBay. My website is fairly new, and I'm not super tech savvy, but I do all kinds of fun, weird stuff. I also make custom orders. So if you guys are interested, go check those out. There we go. Almost there. One more. There we go. No, I really don't want to get freaky, but thank you. Thank you for that comment, though. That's great. No. Thanks for the compliment, but no. I don't really want to get freaky. I appreciate it. That's funny. That wouldn't be enjoyable for either of us. Trust me. That's great. In the words of Adam Sandler, I know what you're thinking, man. Trust me, neither of us are gonna like it. Oh man, that's funny. Well, I did ask if anyone had any questions, so I guess I kind of walked into that one. Oh, good times. All right. Woot, woot. Oh, burned the crap out of my thumb on that one. Gotta ride that line between melting the paracord and not burning the shit out of your thumb. Oop, sorry. I guess it's YouTube. I can say shit, right? I don't think I'll get in trouble for that. I'm not on national TV. I'm allowed to curse. All right. This, where's the, there's, oh crap, well, close enough. All right. Any other heroes that use Eskrima sticks? Probably. I don't keep a running list, but I'm sure there are. You know, there's, I mean, when you call them Eskrima sticks, like it's kind of the thing about it. Like fight sticks in general are not exclusive to Eskrima. They're called Eskrima sticks because they're the length that people in Eskrima tend to use. So, which is usually between about 26 and 30 inches for an Eskrima sticks. These particular ones here are 28 inches. Which is kind of in between. But like in Japan, they have the Hanbo in Japanese martial arts. That's about 36 inches long. Fight sticks, they have there's in Thailand, they have a fighting stick martial art that I can't think of. Then you've got Kalari Payat and Shastarvedya in India. They use sticks, short fight sticks, pairs of fight sticks. There's a lot of different martial arts that use fight sticks. I think sticks in general are probably like the earliest weapons, that we have, because, back in the day, the first club was probably just some branch some guy picked up and thought, oh yeah, this is handy, and, smacked somebody else with it and they didn't get back up. And he was like, oh, this is very useful. I'm going to keep this thing. And, that's, I think, then sticks, however, are lighter and faster than a club. And so I think that at some point, depending on the resources that were available to them, like rattan is very available in a lot of parts of Southeast Asia. So it's not surprising that a lot of the Filipino martial arts use it, because, it's everywhere. I can cut a piece of rattan, straight up that's grown out of the ground, literally cut it with a machete, and I've got a weapon to fight with. That's the most amazing thing in the world to me, especially when it comes to stick fighting martial arts, that, that's all it would take. All I needed was a stick. That's why I also think like bow staff, people talk about bow staff skills and kind of joke about it, but to be honest, Joe and bow staff skills are applicable. How hard is it to find a broom? A broomstick, and you've got a weapon, and you know how to use it. Joe staff, similar thing. Joe staff and bow staff, or any sort of staff fighting, I think is good to know, because a stick, in reality, like sword fighting is good, because you can substitute the sword for a stick and you're still fine. But I think any weapons martial art that can be used by simply picking up a stick is worth knowing, because a stick is a far more realistic a weapon that's going to be readily available to you in any environment. I mean, literally anywhere where the janitor's closet probably has a weapon that you would be able to use. That's a stick. You know, whether it's a squeegee, a mop, a broom, whatever, you know. So I think, you know, stick martial arts and sword martial arts are definitely applicable to day-to-day life and being able to use it to protect yourself and others. Now, some stuff, maybe not so much, but for the most part, I think learning to use at least some sort of melee weapon does come in handy. I teach it to my son. My son is about to turn 13 here pretty soon. And I've taught him, you know, pretty much the basics of stick and sword fighting. He's going to start learning staff this summer. When I go visit him, I usually go see him for about a month in the summer, and we learn a new weapon each summer. And so this summer he's going to learn bow staff, I think. He's learned sword and sai and a few other weapons at this point. But there you go. All right. Last one. Oh, not quite. There we go. There we go. Last one. What would my weapon of choice be in the zombie apocalypse? Ooh. Probably either a spear, a long spear, or a very well-made baseball bat. I think spears would be great for zombies because you can keep your distance without getting too close. You know, all you gotta do is stab through the eye from a distance and you're good. And baseball bats if you gotta get up close, because baseball bats aren't that hard to come by. So if your baseball bat breaks, not that hard to find a replacement. You know, Negan got it right in that whole regard. I don't know about the barbed wire part, but for the most part, I think the baseball bats, not aluminum ones though, wood baseball bats. An aluminum baseball bat, everybody thinks they're stronger. They are not. Aluminum baseball bats, for the most part, are not really made for hitting hard objects. They're made for hitting balls. And a ball in the air does not have the amount of force as a stationary person or object when you're hitting it with an aluminum bat. Aluminum bats, the first time you really hit a zombie, they're going to just bend over the zombie's head. Get a wood bat, made preferably out of ash or maple, and you can go to town. I make all sorts of bats, and I love making them for zombie apocalypse purposes. But yeah, a good wooden bat would be my recommendation for a zombie apocalypse weapon. And but a spear would be my go-to. All right, so there we go, folks. Here's the last set of the Nightwing Eskrima sticks. So that is it for me today. I'm going to get the shop cleaned up and pack up everything that I need to put on the store this afternoon, and I'm going to head home. But thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm always on here Sunday mornings doing my finishing work. So if you're bored and you want to hang out, come hang out with me. We can talk. We can shoot the shit and talk, and while I sit here and cord stuff up. But anyway, thanks again, everybody. I'll see you next time.